Welcome to the Odd Bros Powwow Sports Podcast. Today we'll be talking about 10 of the greatest boxers of all time.
Let's get into it. So, based on the background, your boxing background, so I'm gonna throw some names that we found on Google, the top greatest fighters, right?
Okay.
Sugar Ray
Leonard or Robinson?
Leonard.
All right, Sugar Ray Leonard is
What makes him one of the greatest?
for one thing, he's probably the greatest welterweight of all time that there is video of, because Sugar Ray Robinson, there's not much video of him at welterweight, but he's probably the greatest welterweight of all time, even over guys like Floyd Mayweather and Thomas Hearns. He was fast, he had the footwork, he had the flair, and he had heart. Like, he had like a pretty face, a nice smile, but he was a dog inside. He beat all of the competition of his era. He beat Thomas Hearns. He might have lost one fight to Roberto Duran, but then he beat him twice after that. He fought Tommy Hearns, he won, and like a crazy fight. Like, he was down on points. Angelo Dundee's like, you're blowing it, son. You're blowing it, son. He comes out and he knocks him out through the ropes. They had a rematch some years later. It was a draw, but they were both past their primes. Also, he beat Marvin Hagler as well. And Wilfred Benitez, very underrated, but one of the best defensive fighters of all time.
Okay, that's number 10 on the Google top 10 greatest boxers, right?
All right, let's go number 9.
Julio Cesar Chavez.
Julio Cesar Chavez.
What he's known for?
Granite chin, unrelenting will. He's the quintessential Mexican fighter. He, like, right now at this time, his chief competition in that being the greatest Mexican fighter debate is probably Canelo Alvarez, but I don't know. He was an extremely active fighter. He has the most wins in title fights. He has the most title fights, I believe, at 37, and he has 31 wins. And he was always in the ring. He had over 100 fights. He was 87-0 at one point. He was in title fights and non-title fights, just competing every other month. So, extremely active, and he has probably one of the most dramatic knockouts of all time. Down on points against Meldrick Taylor, 12th round, knocks him out, 2 seconds remaining. And it was like, there was a lot of questionable calls there with the referee stopping the fight with only 2 seconds left. Lou Duva, Meldrick Taylor's trainer, like, why would he tell him to fight when he was ahead on points instead of just boxing? But the man has heart. He has a granite chin, and he also beat him in the rematch by knockout. So,
okay, number 8, Roy Jones Jr. That's I know one of your favorite.
Roy Jones Jr.
Yeah.
At his peak is probably like one of the most unbeatable boxers there is.
He got swag, style.
He has everything. He had the speed, power, reflexes. Even though you might say he might not have fundamentals, he was still a runner-up in the Olympics, even though a lot of people, even the person that beat him in the Olympics, said he got robbed. There was some questionable decision with the Koreans, but we're not going to get into that. He's the only man to go from junior middleweight all the way to heavyweight, winning titles at middleweight all the way up until heavyweight. Next up.
Number 7.
Rocky Marciano.
Before you say that, he's the only heavyweight fighter that was undefeated.
Yeah,
right?
Heavyweight champion, undefeated, 49 fights, 43 knockouts.
So
he's a man. Like, there's no other way to describe Rocky Marciano. He was a man's man. He wasn't trying to box you or finesse you. He would come at you and he would break you down. Even if he wasn't landing clean hits on you, he would punch you in the arms. Because at that time when he was fighting, there were 15-round fights. And he would get to you eventually. Against Cesar Charles, beat him down. Like, everyone you put against him, look, 49-0. The OG. Knocked him out. No matter who we put in front of him, except for 7 fighters. But even Joe Louis, who was considered the greatest heavyweight champion of all time, lost to him. Even though he was past his prime. It was a scary person.
Okay, number 6, we got Roberto Duran.
Manos de Piedra. Hands of Stone. He fought...
So he fought from 1968 to 2001.
Yeah, I believe he was the only fighter to fight in 4 decades at the time.
He held a world championship in 4 weight classes.
Yeah, from lightweight, welterweight, junior middleweight, and middleweight.
Yeah.
And
what's he good at? Like during his
okay, there's 2 parts you have to talk about: before Ray Arcel and after Ray Arcel. Before Ray Arcel, he was a true brawler that had dynamite in his right hand. But then after Ray Arcel came, they fused that raw aggression with skill. And look, he's the first person to defeat Ray Leonard. And that was big at the time. He was moving up in weight to fight the welterweight champion, Sugar Ray Leonard. And they were both at their best, and Roberto Duran was just better. It was just amazing to watch. He had the heart, but in the second fight, the infamous No Mas fight, his heart came into question, but he was a man's man as well.
Okay. Number 5. I know you like this. Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson. It's hard to talk about Tyson without talking about his coach, Casa D'Amato, but Mike Tyson, as much as he accomplished, was wasted potential. He could have been so much more than he was. And then after Casa D'Amato died, Don King came into the picture. Just a lot of outside stuff started getting to him. But Mike Tyson, at one point in time, was probably the scariest person on the face of the planet. And in my mind...
There's a question someone wants us to ask. Mike Tyson at his prime versus Ali at his prime.
Mike Tyson. I have to go with Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is
because of pure power? Or?
Not just the pure power. Like, what's really underrated about Mike Tyson is he was extremely, extremely, extremely skilled. And not just that. He was a student of the game of boxing. His defense was very good, especially when it came to weaving. Because he was always a smaller man, he was a master at slipping and weaving shots to get in. Ali was just a 1-2 fighter. Not to discredit anything Muhammad Ali did. And then Mike Tyson was fast. He would throw combinations that once he would get into you, if he got to Ali, he would beat him. That's all I can say.
Okay. Number 4, we got Sugar Ray Robinson.
Okay, Sugar Ray Robinson is the greatest fighter of all time. I don't want to have any debates about this and that. If you don't believe me, look it up. He's the greatest middleweight champion of all time. He was winning a fight for the light heavyweight championship. And he stopped fighting because he was tired, because it was too hot outside. And he was ahead on points. He was a smaller man going to the fight, but he was handling Joey Maxim, the light heavyweight champion. Physically manhandling him. This fight against Jake LaMotta, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, he was going to kill him. He really was going to kill him. And he did kill a man in the ring, actually. And he actually said before the fight, he's like, I don't want to fight him because I'm going to throw a left hook and I'm going to kill him. They brought a priest and they brought the mayor. It's like, no, you can fight this and that. And then lo and behold, he hit him with the left hook and the man died.
God damn.
He's he was fast, he was powerful, he had the footwork, he could throw combinations, he was fundamentally sound. Anything you wanted from a fighter, he was that. And at one point, I believe he was 112 with 111 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss.
Very good. Number 3, we got Floyd Mayweather.
Floyd Mayweather is the greatest defensive fighter of all time. And in terms of being a prize fighter, not a boxer, but a prize fighter, he's probably the greatest of all time because he put the prize before fighting. And I feel like if I had a kid doing boxing, I wouldn't want him to have a career of a Tyson or Ali. I'd want him to have the career of a Floyd Mayweather because he took literally no damage compared to his contemporaries such as Pacquiao, and he made the most money. And compared to guys like Willie Pep and Nicolo Noloche, I feel like he was just a fundamentally better defensive fighter.
Okay, very good. Number 2, Joe Louis.
Joe Louis might not be the greatest heavyweight of all time, but he's the greatest heavyweight champion of all time. Regardless of what people say about the competition that he faced during those title defenses.
He was a champion for 12 years, right?
He was a champion for 12 years, and he has the most title defenses. And people might talk about, his competition, this and that, but he fought who was there and he beat them. So it doesn't matter, right?
Those who wants to find out about Joe Louis, he was a boxer from 1934 to 1951.
The Bronze Bomber, the Brown Bomber.
He's also the reason Sugar Ray Robinson became a boxer, right? He inspired him to be a boxer. So check that out.
And also the famous line, he can run but he can't hide, was coined by this man.
Okay, number 1. Before I say that, I'll give you a quote. What he said. I don't think it's bragging to say I'm something special. Who said that?
Muhammad Ali.
So he's number 1.
Muhammad Ali, in my opinion, is probably the second greatest boxer of all time.
Second?
Yeah, behind Sugar Ray Robinson. Even Ali will say it. Sugar Ray Robinson is the greatest boxer of all time. And the reason why I say that is, he's this is no disrespect to Muhammad. He's the greatest heavyweight of all time. Period. But I think Sugar Ray Robinson is better. But That being said, there's never been a heavyweight like Ali. There's never going to be a heavyweight like him after. And the things he did outside of the sport, he was a pop culture icon. In terms of bringing like eyes to the sport, he was better than Sugar Ray Robinson. He had that swagger, he had that mouth, and he could back it up. Like, that's a lot of things people really discredit. Like, a lot of guys talk shit, but they can't back it up. And Ali was a master of that.
So do you agree with the ranking?
Ranking really like this is quite subjective. Some people would put Mayweather first. Some people would have other fighters in this list, not even in the top 10. Other people would have Pacquiao in it. There's guys like Henry Armstrong that don't get enough love. He was the only person to have titles in 3 weight classes when at a time there was only 7. And he had a draw for the middleweight title. So think about that. He could have been champion in 4 weight classes at a time when there were only 7. There are other fighters. Floyd Patterson was really good. He was also trained by Customato. But
oh, he did?
Yeah.
I didn't know
Archie
that.
Moore won a great light heavyweight, moved up, won a heavyweight title. There's a lot of guys you could cite.
So on that note,
On that note, follow us on Instagram. We'll add the link in the description below.